purposes only. Although I am a licensed clinician, I'm also just a person. I love to be able to be in my real life and speak from that point. And that's where this podcast is coming from. So enjoy.
Searching for truth, looking for answers. There must be a way to another day.
Hey!
Hello! What up? What up? Ba, 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 ba.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah. Yo, it's been like crazy long.
It's been so long. The last time we did this was, I will tell you the date
It was
right
like a
now.
year ago.
It was definitely 2023. The date to be exact was 8/16/2023. So it's been
Over a year.
over a year. Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
So
It's been a journey. It's been a long time, you know? You know what I talk about is that I think that sometimes in life, people just need like a good fine tuning, a good reset.
yeah.
You know, I talk about that all the time in therapy with my patients in terms of like, you know, like you could be going, you know, things are going well, things are going okay, and then something happens in life, whether it's like a life event, whether it's just a life stage you're going through. The universe has presented you something that's challenging and like you're trying to get through, right? And then we're like, oh shit, wait, what's happening? This is like totally throws you off, right? And now you're like, fuck, I'm not into doing all the things I was doing right now because I have all this other stuff going on. So I need a reset. I need to be fine-tuned so that I can come back a better version of who I ended with on the 8/16/2023 podcast.
Yeah. Well, definitely. I think you've been through a significant shift and change.
Been through a lot, jeez.
Since then. If you look back at some of our old episodes, which I was doing the other day, like you could see kind of like where you were starting to kind of like, I think I told you the other day, I was like, you'd be pointing at me saying like, I'm the one that kind of triggered you to do this. But then at the same time, you'd be like, I know that this is something that I need to work on within myself, but you still don't have to do that like that.
I think I was just very easily irritated. Like if you think about it, when we were doing we were still doing the podcast when we first moved to Rhode Island, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't realize when we were doing all the last seasons of the podcast that I was going through all these life stages that now I realize, right?
Yeah.
So I was going through the life stage of transitioning from Florida to Rhode Island, having to create a whole new life. Then I was going through the transition of, you know, okay, I'm a mom, but like, what do I like now? Like, I don't even know what I like anymore. Like, do I like to do this? Do I like to do that? Like, do I like the clothes that I used to wear? Do I not? Like, the universe was just kind of really like presenting me with all these like, you know, challenges of just trying to figure myself out. So I was in the process of all of that while we were doing the podcast.
Right.
So you can really clearly see the shift, you know, if you guys go back to the other podcast, you can see the shift because it was just like, so like, I know it was there. I felt it, you know?
Yeah. I mean, you want to go into like some of like the
stuff.
Let's go into like this more of like, be brief about like all the shit that you were going through, but then get up until maybe like 6 months ago and where you're at now. How about that?
Yeah. So, man, it was just like, there's so much, but basically, I think when we last left off in August, 2023 was our last podcast. I, at that point, was like so irritable. I was like easily agitated.
Mm-hmm.
I think I was just really upset with like being in Rhode Island. I wasn't really happy with just like Rhode Island, period. It's just Rhode Island. But at that moment, I was just like, I can't stand it here. I can't stand this. I just was like in complaining mode, I think. Right? Like, I think I was just complaining all the time about everything. And just everything was just felt so awful. And then my mom stuff, right? I think that's a lot of it, right? And
Yeah.
then like my mom came, and then
Oh
she
yeah,
moved in with
she
us.
moved in with
Right.
us.
Then she moved in with us. And then
that's what ignited everything.
that was the icing on the cake. I will
And then
say,
your
which
brain was like exploding.
my brain exploded. Like all the work I did in therapy on my mom's stuff from 14 until like, 37, 38, literally just like exploded. It's crazy, and so, but it like in a good way. It was like good stuff that it happened like that. Like I remember looking at you being like I was crying all the time, right? And I was just like writing in my journal, and I was like talking to my inner child every night, and every night I'd be crying to you, like sobbing, but I'd be like, but I love this. This is so great.
Yeah.
Like I'm going to be so much better, like, and it was just like and then I went to Arizona. I did ketamine because I got trained to do the psychedelic assisted therapy, and I did ketamine myself, and that was like a huge
that's
thing.
a whole other thing too that we had, when we last ended, we didn't even have this practice yet, and now we do. That was started in January. So
yeah, that's right. So my God, you're right. Now and we talked about having the practice, but so just to update you guys, since August of 2023, we now actually own our private practice, Infused with Love Therapy. And we are really just focusing on helping the shit out of people in the most abstract, out of the box, holistic way possible. I'm not really like a traditional clinician, and I like to just do different stuff. So we got the numerology in there, we got the psychedelic assisted therapy in there. I'm hoping that the FDA gets their shit together and approves MDMA soon. Then we have like the EMDR therapy, talk therapy, basic stuff. We're starting to also work with one of my favorite people here in Rhode Island, who's a Reiki, certified Reiki master, I think is what you call them. And she is by far one of the most amazing individuals I've ever met. Changed my life. So we're starting to now work with her and kind of having her. I have some patients going to go see her and have her consult with some patients. So we're really trying to combine the spiritual world, holistic world with the clinical world, because in my mind, in our minds, that makes sense.
Yeah.
It just makes sense.
Yeah, you kind of need to these days. There's no way around it.
There's no way around it.
Because even like science and like spirituality or energy or whatever, they're blending too when it comes to like what's it called? Jesus, I just drew a blank. Physics, quantum physics.
Oh, okay.
Which is science, but it's like physical science, but it's also energy and spiritual
frequency,
like stuff that are combining. Anyways, so
and also I think the reality is like I think like as I'm like I first started doing therapy with people in 2006, right? Then I graduated in 2010 with my master's, got licensed in like, I don't know, 2011, 2012, something like that, right? But I've also been to therapy myself, right? Since I was like 14. My dad, threw us in there, which thankfully he did. So it's interesting being a therapist, but also like being a person and living life and going through your own experiences. Because now what I'm finding is I believe that not for all people, for some people, just utilizing only the clinical path can sometimes only take you but so far, depending on who you are. I'm not saying that that's true for everyone, right? For me, I think the clinical path took me very far.
Yeah.
But then there was like a wall, and it was like I felt that I needed more.
Also, think about like the timing, the amount of time it took as well.
Yeah, I needed more. And then that's when the spiritual came in. That's when like, now it's like Buddhism stuff, and now it's Reiki stuff, and now it's oming and chanting and getting into all these things that I'm like, just like loving right now. And that I feel has just elevated me way, just in just a different way that the clinical did. The clinical stuff, going to therapy, got me to the point where I can then be open. I had tons of insight, right? A crazy amount of awareness. I knew all of my issues, all my shit, plus I'm a therapist. So it was easy for me to like, pinpoint those things, but I just didn't have like that, I don't know, like that just wholesome, like spiritual, freeing feeling. It's like I still felt like something was still kind of, like
Yeah,
pulling at me.
I don't know. I feel like clinical to me is like it can name every single little thing that's going on in your life, right? But when you go through it and you're the best you can be through the clinical side of things, then it's you hit this barrier like, yeah, what else? This can't just be it. I just can name all these problems that I have and then I can sort them out with this like structured manner or way, whatever. There's another level where it flows. It's a flow more. You know what I'm saying? You just kind of you get into this vibration. It's like a frequency. You're raising your vibration. And then there's an attraction thing and like energy. It's like it's a whole the combination is great because
Yeah.
I think the clinical and the talk therapy and stuff on this physical plane can get you to a place where you can be extremely successful in life and feel fulfilled and whatever, but then if you don't go into that other level, at some point in your life you're going to feel like you're missing something.
Yeah, and again, I want to be clear because I don't think that that's the case for everyone. But I do think it's the case for many people. For me, I can only speak from my standpoint, and from just working with other people who I've worked with, there was just something that was still missing. Whereas then there are some other people who could just do clinical, and just focus on that, and they're good, like, and that's wonderful. But for me, I felt like, okay, clinical that got me this far, amazing. Did a lot of therapy, a lot of stuff, inner child work, the whole nine. But yeah, I was just missing that higher level, elevated, fucking mind-blowing, freaking,
But it's a journey that everybody's on, right? So it's like it depends on where you come in on this earth, your how you're raised, the environment, all this other stuff. And if you're at a level where you have a lot of trauma, then talk therapy, you have to do all that stuff to get yourself up
you have to do all that stuff.
An even playing field. And then if you have the energy to keep it going and you want to understand more about yourself and the world, then that's when you start hitting those like
the higher levels. Yeah. Well, I think, not to get you to an even playing field with the talk therapy when there's lots of trauma, I think that what happens is if you've never worked on issues and let's say you have trauma, like how can you go into, let's say, an EMDR session and be like, hey, this is what I want to target and this is what I want to focus on, this memory, but yet you're not even aware of the fact that maybe anything traumatic happened. You know what I'm saying? Because in your mind, it was so normalized that you're just like, living your life, acting like, like that was the norm, but then you're telling me the story and I'm like, that's not the norm.
That's not
you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
But yeah, so
we kind of bounced around a little bit, but I mean, we have so much, it's been over a year. Just like, we're just like data dumping on you guys about what's been going on, but overall, it's been like amazing stuff.
Amazing stuff.
It's been ups and downs and struggles and whatever, but like at this point, I feel like we got a good thing going on with the practice. Everything's really on the up and up. We actually started a group therapy now. Aaliyah has
so we're doing group therapy now. I'm super excited about
starting next week, actually.
Yeah.
2nd.
I was like so resistant to getting back into groups because the last time I did a group was when I was working for like treatment facilities in substance abuse. And although I loved doing those groups, I got tired. And then I was like, you know what? I'm going into private practice. No more groups. Yay. And then I'm like, I'm going to bring some fucking groups back and I'm going to crush the shit out of it. And I'm going to have fun and I'm going to help people and we're going to have a fucking blast doing therapy because therapy actually can be fun. Yeah.
And then, over the next, because we're going to stay consistent with this now, right, Aaliyah?
Well, first of all, one of my journeys actually is consistency. So actually, which I've been doing amazing.
She has been very, very.
So because that's one of my journeys right now and something I'm working on. Yes, I will be consistent.
And we had long, deep conversations last night about content.
That word.
You got all the
content.
information up here. We gotta get it out there to everyone.
Content.
So yeah, over the next, several weeks, we will continue to kind of fill in the gaps of what's been going on over the past year. But I feel like that's a good catch up to where we're at right now.
Yeah, I
pretty
mean,
close.
yeah.
Aaliyah's been going through a lot of stuff and sorting
Yeah.
through things and spiritual changes and stuff like that. And I've been here. I've been hanging out.
Yeah. You've been very supportive.
Actually, I've actually started several other podcasts with my buddy David, Frequency Project, and then me and Jay are doing a 100-day consecutive Instagram Live challenge. So every single day we're on Instagram Live. But yeah, so that's kind of where we're at. But I did write down, because the other day we were talking and we were talking about ketamine therapy and my struggles of my end of the business of
Are you still talking? Do you still want to talk about this?
You didn't
feel
want
like you've been talking about this forever.
The advertisement?
Yeah, the Google thing.
I thought you wanted to bring it up. You said you wanted to bring it up. That's why I wrote it in the notes here. You said I wrote it in the notes because you said we got to talk about this. I said okay.
I'm going to tell you what I have written down. Ready? What I have written down to discuss is, which we should have went over. I have journeys, paths, and the universe.
Oh.
Then I have Trump, aka Manson, Kamala. Then I have life stages.
Oh, you don't even want to talk about this?
No, get that out. Look, bottom line is that social media, the society or the world or whomever are just really trying to keep things limited in terms of what people are allowed to do and market and all this stuff. And we'll get into it more, but it's a whole thing.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. You talk about it so much.
Not to anybody else but you. I think it's important for people to understand this is actually happening. Give me 3 minutes. Okay.
All right,
I'll just lay it out. You don't even have to say anything. All right. This is what's going on right now. Okay. So we have been trying to promote ketamine therapy on Google Ads. And first off, social media, that got shut down. And now Google Ads, and they allowed us to do it. And then all of a sudden, a few weeks ago, they changed their policy and now we cannot do it. And the only people that Google allows to do it are pharmaceutical companies and all these big corporations. There's literally a list of maybe 5 different
it's addiction treatment services, healthcare services, CBD services, and then some
not CBD. They can't promote ketamine, but they're
no, I know.
That was for the legit script. That was for the legit script.
Okay.
But for the Google, it was all these corporate, basically multi-million-dollar pharmaceutical industry people. They're the only ones allowed to tell anybody about ketamine therapy. Never mind. The other part of it is clinicians, psychotherapists, psychologists, whoever are unable to make ads saying, are you dealing with depression? Are you dealing with whatever issue, PTSD or something like that? Hey, maybe you should check out our website. That is illegal on Google now because their new policy. You know why? Because they don't want the little people that are actually helping people to actually help anybody. They want to shut us down from behind the scenes. And the normal person that's just on Google doesn't know any of this. They just don't ever see anybody else's ads except for the big corporations ads. And then you go to this clinic to go do your ketamine therapy and you sit in this sterile white room by yourself and get zero therapy from it. You won't hear from us anymore on Google because of this, unfortunately. And we're the ones out here trying to actually do the work with the integration and help people build the lives and get to where they want to be in life. These clinics, they're just pumping and dumping. They're getting people in. Sit in this room by yourself, listen to fucking headphones, put a mask on, pop this ketamine and get the hell out of here. That's what's going on. Anyways, that's the short version of it. That was probably about 3 minutes. But I just want everybody to know that this is actually going on. It is not a conspiracy. If you want to look into it, you can go on Google and go into their policies of like drugs and promotion of healthcare and mental health, and you will see everything I'm talking about. It's fucking insane. All right, let's move on to the next thing.
Nice. Okay. Um. So I got to tell you, I kind of want to circle back to our very first episode ever, which is
Not a Trump supporter.
I'm not a Trump supporter. That was the name of the episode. And I want to circle back because election time is here. Election time is here.
Election time. Yeah.
Get your votes. Election time is here.
Get
your hot votes.
Which was how we got started. Really, we started talking about all the crazy shit like Trump was saying, and we are gonna be interrupted real quick.
Yeah,
Hold
this is
on.
what happens when you're a mom. Yes, sweetie. When I'm done with this, okay, love you.
In a little bit, baby.
But yeah, so now that it's election time, which is like one of my favorite times of year, really just for content. I love this shit, man. This guy, they tried to fucking kill this guy twice.
At least.
Tried to kill this guy twice.
I mean, from an
What's going on?
from an outside perspective, like if you don't even care about politics, and maybe you don't like Trump because he says some like outlandish
stuff, yeah.
Somebody or people tried to kill the man. Do you not like him that much that you would be? And I've heard that people have said like, "Oh, they missed" or something like that. That's
crazy
fucked up
to me because I'm like, oh my god. So the people who are saying and making comments like that are the same people who want a world of love.
Right. Oh, that's exactly what you're saying on the first podcast. Remember?
Yes.
There's all this love, all this. I care about this. I love this. But then it's like
hate. Fuck you. I hate you. Get out of here. Blah blah. And I'm like, I'm sorry. I'm confused. Where's the love in this, guys? I understand that you may not like Mr. Trump, okay, and I understand that some people may not like Mrs. Kamala. Kamala.
Is that how Trump said?
You know, I don't know, but at the end of the day, they're people. Like everyone else in the world, we're all people. And so in my mind, I'm like, I don't give a fuck who you are. I don't care if you're a white supremacist. I don't care if you are I honestly don't, like, you're a person. And for me, where I go with it is that person has a family. You know what I'm saying? And that person's family may not have anything to do with what they're doing, you know, in any way, shape, or form, no connection, but like, that's where I go with it. Like, damn, that person's got, like, they have a family, they may have kids, they have this, they have parents. Like, so for me, the fact that he's been shot at twice, and people are just like, yeah, good riddance. They should really get him next time. I'm like, yo, that shit is not spreading love. I'm fucking confused. Yeah. I don't care if you don't like somebody. That is not love.
Right.
And if we're trying to get to a state of love and healing, then I don't know what you guys think, but that's the wrong fucking way.
Yeah. I mean, for me personally, if somebody told me that like they wanted to like kill me, I'd be like, I'm sorry that you feel that way and that you've gone through whatever you're going through to get you to this point that you want to like actually kill someone. And I wouldn't want to like kill them back because they said something to me. You know, it's like, it's not, you got to stop it somewhere. Somebody has to stop it.
No one's stopping it. Everyone's feeding into
it. Like you have to stop it within yourself, really. Like every individual who is saying these things like, oh, they missed and they should aim better next time or something. They should look at themselves,
please,
and say, do I really want that? Do I want somebody to die because I don't like what they say?
Yeah.
That's like insane.
That's like wild to me.
It's like, you should start looking into yourself of like, have I been brainwashed? Am I in a cult or something? Like, because that's the type of talk and thought that comes out of that those things like cults and
It's just
being
wild to me.
brainwashed.
I always talk about, and I know I've said this in like the first season, I think, or second season, but if you haven't listened to those seasons, I know that I keep
Oh, maybe our
mentioning
fourth
this.
season where
Maybe
we had
the
one
fourth season
episode.
where we had
One episode. Okay, anyways,
but you know, things like this, when we're able to lean into the challenge, right? That's how we grow. That's how we gain insight into ourselves, right? When we're able to really kind of just go, all right, this is happening. Let's embrace it and see, right? So I had a patient, I think I told you this long time ago, maybe like 20 years ago, patient, Caucasian, and was brought up in a racist home. So the family was very much racist. So when he came into the facility, he also had that mindset and was racist, which makes total sense to me, right?
but he thought it was normal.
Right. Meanwhile, I then become his therapist, right? And in intake, they actually saw like he had tattoos and they saw like some white supremacy stuff or whatever. But you know, everybody was like, this is your therapist, you know, like that's it, you know? And I gotta tell you, I wasn't scared, I wasn't nervous, I wasn't anything. I was actually like, oh, I fucking love this right now. This is gonna be fun. You know, it's kind of what I thought. Like, this is gonna be interesting, you know?
Even though he didn't want to be there. I mean, he was required to be there.
He was there for so many reasons. One obviously is the addiction, you know. So I guess in that moment the addiction just trumped the fact that I was brown skinned, you know what I'm saying? Like he needed help anyway, right? Like but he was in my caseload with about I would say 6 or 7 other people who also mixed race.
You're gonna get back to Trump here in a minute?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I will tell you that when he came into the facility, he obviously was very resistant. He didn't really want to open up to me much, which I got, right? But as we're talking week by week and we're getting to know each other, I'm now learning about his life. I'm learning about his childhood. Horrific. I'm learning about all these things. In my mind, I'm like, no wonder. This makes total sense to me. This is not I'm not personalizing anything. Like this is like so just his stuff, environmental, right? So then he comes to group, he starts sharing about that stuff in group around other mixed races, right? The group is now supporting him, okay? Everyone's like crying. I mean, like loving. By the time he left, his best friend was one of my Black patients. Okay, who, from my understanding, because I keep in contact sometimes with my patients, are still friends.
Nice.
Okay, so it's so wild to me. So that's kind of what I mean by like leaning into situations and not so much hearing something and immediately going, oh no. You know, like for me, it was like, okay, he's racist and we're gonna like work through it somehow. I don't know, but we will, and we did, and it was fine, you know. Like actually I learned so much, as did he, you know. And I'm not saying that every situation's like that, but we don't give it a chance to be like that sometimes because we're so closed off. So back to Trump, I think again, neither here nor there, because I really don't care about either one of them, right? But really, like I just think that he gets shitted on so hard, like so much so that people are trying to fucking kill him, and I'm like, this is not okay. Like I don't care what you believe or don't believe from what he says. He's a human being. He's a person. He has kids. He's got this. We all do. Everyone's got shit. Everyone has a life, you know? Maybe you could learn something. I don't know. Give it a chance.
Yeah. I mean, the other thing, I understand that, like, you know, everybody out there, they, like you just said, has their own thing going on. So, you know, they don't maybe take the time to kind of do a little research and understand and where someone's coming from. But I mean, we're talking about people, Kamala and Trump, who are running for president of the United States. Like, if you really care about the country and where it's going and who's going to lead us, right? Like, wouldn't you do an equal amount of research into all candidates? Or do you just, you know, or are you like following the party?
Well, they
it's
just
like
hear what's on
Democrat.
the news.
Okay, I'm a Democrat, and whoever's a Democrat. Which seems like there are some Democrats that have just literally fall. I mean, Republicans too. They just like fall in line. And
from both
they
sides.
literally like took an old dude out who's technically still president right now. They said he is unfit. We'll put him to the side. He's still kind of president, but we don't know what the fuck. He just go to the beach or some shit.
Get him out,
And then you got all these other people behind the scenes who were actually running the country that you don't know their fucking names, right? They're all like bureaucrats or whatever. And then they just like bring this other person up that nobody gave a fuck about 6 months ago. Nobody ever did. Some people didn't even know she was like vice president, right?
I had no idea.
And then all of a
she
sudden,
didn't even exist in my mind.
And then all of a sudden, I'm like looking at articles like in the past week, and like razor thin, she's beating Trump by a hair in all these swing states, and I'm like, how?
First of all,
because she has celebrities at her freaking shows.
Yes,
is that why? I don't know.
But what's even crazier is that like, and again, I'm not a political person. I don't give a shit really, but she to me is the first like vice president. This is coming from someone who is not into politics. I feel like she's the first vice president that I didn't even know was doing anything. Like, I never heard her name. I never heard what she was doing. With the other vice presidents, I would hear some stuff, you know? Mike Pence, I heard shit. The other ones, I heard shit, you know?
Cheney,
like, you know? But, like, I never heard anything that she was doing.
Yeah.
Nothing, you know? And again, you know, I'm a little whatever because I don't watch the news, you know? But even on, like, social media, nothing. I had no idea. And now she's amazing.
It's just interesting to me. Like,
it's just interesting to me too.
And I've talked to some Kamala supporters, and I just asked them like, what makes you want to vote for her? And it's always like it goes to abortion rights is the number one thing, right? And then I'm like, okay, so do you know what Trump's stance is on that? And they usually don't. They just think he wants to kill babies, I guess, right? And because he took away Roe versus Wade. But Roe versus Wade, it actually put the power closer to the woman that's going through the problem. It's back in the state's hands. And in those states, you can like decide what you want, you know, as a community. Like you can go to your state house and go vote on these things, right? I think you have more control that way as opposed to the federal government just saying everybody does this, right? And I don't know. It's just.
I think it also depends on. I think that just obviously depends on how people. Because again, like I mean, I hear so many people they're like, you know, oh, like he's taking away our rights and all this stuff, and I'm like, you know, again, I'm very like in the middle with lots of stuff. But in my mind, to be honest, I don't really want or feel that anybody should be fucking telling me what I need to be doing. Not a state,
right.
Not a freaking, not a
hands.
fucking government, not a fucking, I don't care who you are. The fact that we live in a world where we're having conversations about who's going to tell us what we're going to do with our bodies is mind-blowing to me, okay? I don't give a fuck whether it's in the state or it's in the whole government. I don't care where it's at.
I mean, this goes for, at least for me, this goes for like COVID and vaccines as well. It's the same thing, right? It's like they're telling us from the top down, like, you have to get this to do whatever. I think that should all be sorted out within the local communities or whatever.
Within yourself.
Or even within yourself. Yeah. If somebody wants to get it, go get it. If you want to
get it, get it. If you don't, you don't. If you want to, like, I don't understand why there are laws that dictate what we need to be doing with our bodies. And like I get that there's laws, obviously, right? Like no killing people. I like that's a big deal, right? But like, you can't have an abortion or you can have, fuck you. Who the fuck are you? If I want one, I'll get one. If I don't want one, I won't get one. And the end.
Right.
like the end of everything else. So this is why I'm not for either fucking thing. This is why I'm so like, whatever for this and whatever for that.
So for me, that's like, neither one of them are going to give us like okay, well, you know what? No, the states and the federal government are just out of it. And abortion is, doctors can do abortion if they want, and they don't have to do it if they don't want to. And you just leave it at that. And then if a woman comes in and she wants an abortion, maybe that doctor wouldn't do it or something, and then they refer out to some other place, and should just go to another doctor to go do it or something like that.
Right.
You know, but yeah, it's all medical. It's all like, why the fuck do we give a shit? Why are we giving this power to the government at any level, right?
Right, exactly.
So that's where I go with that conversation. But where people that are defending Kamala and whoever, they go in the direction of like, well, what about those people that are in those states that don't allow it? And I'm like, well, this is what I'm fucking talking about. Like, get it out of the state's hands too. Like, let's go further. Let's
go further with it.
Yeah.
You know who I think would have gone further with it?
Who?
I don't know, but I don't know. But I feel like RFK was kind of a little more.
He probably would
in that area of like, what, like, this is crazy. I don't even know why this is happening, and it shouldn't be happening.
Dude, I'm excited about his whole like plan, like to make America healthy again. Basically, that's his plan, and he just had a video of him talking about like this like yellow dye that was made out of oils, and it's in like every single freaking food, and it's made out of like literally like tar and like gasoline, right? And it's in Cheerios and Lucky Charms and shit.
Oh, the wonderful cereal
and it's banned in like every single
Europe
other country except for like 3 countries. We're one of them, right? And he's like, why? This is all unnecessary. It's a waste byproduct that basically these horrible companies couldn't get rid of, so they just dump it in the fucking food. That's literally what's happening. This is not a fucking conspiracy. This is really happening. So the RFK is like, he knows all about all that stuff because he's sued all these pharmaceutical companies, all these like
and that you
big
can find
corporations.
actually, because that's public. That's actually public.
Yeah.
So that you can find.
He's sued them and he's won, and those pharmaceutical companies just basically pay off everybody and keep it moving.
Yeah, they've been doing.
You know, and basically what he wants to do is he wants to shut down the revolving door between pharmaceutical companies, the food industry, and the government. So like the CEO of Pfizer, when he retires, he can't. Pfizer. I'm in Rhode Island. So the CEO of Pfizer, when he retires, he can't just go in and become the head of the FDA, you know, right, and make laws that benefit Pfizer. So he wants to shut all those doors, all of them, when it comes to like health and food and freaking your body, vaccines, all that shit.
But again, I think what this goes back to, and I think what voting goes back to, and I've said this to you, is I think it's just really solely based, well, it's solely based on someone's priorities in life in terms of what they feel is the most important in their lives or for them. Right? There may be lots of people in the world who don't really give a shit about the food thing, you know? So they're not.
Yeah, I mean, okay, I guess, but
there are lots of people, especially in the fucking U.S.
But I think it's because it's not. There is not enough education about it.
No, that I understand, but I'm just saying there are people who, let's say, for them, if we're going through a list, let's say of abortion rights, food, education, right, and something else. Food may be at the very bottom for them, right? And abortion, education may be the top 2. So therefore, they're going to focus on the people who they feel are really trying to do something for those the way that they see it, right? Versus anything else. It's all this is about is just different perceptions. That's it, man. And in the world, we are allowed to have different perceptions.
I get it. The problem is like what I was talking about, the Google censorship and shit. It's like, how do you have those conversations? How do you, if which it is true, everything that RFK is saying is true. How do you get that message out and make people say, wow, this is one of the things that is giving Americans cancer. Let's get it out of the food. Like, it blows my mind that it's not being like talked about amongst everybody, because it's so important. Because if you don't have your life, what the fuck else matters?
What's funny and crazy to me though is that like my dad, right? Like he'll send us articles that he's found, right, in our family group chat, and The most recent one. Let me pull this up.
Milton's spot here.
The most recent one that he has sent us is scientists urgently warned to stop drinking plastic water bottles out of. Okay.
I've been telling this guy since the day I met him.
I just want to be clear. I just want to be clear. Okay. He sent all of us this, as though this was like this. Hey guys, you need to really, like this is the thing. Meanwhile,
he's telling us.
Meanwhile, I'm like, okay, so I don't know because it's text messaging. So I don't know if he's sending it to try and be like, oh, hey, yeah, you guys look, like this is why right? Or he sent it as, hey guys, look, this is a big deal. Because in my mind, I'm like, bitch.
We got a gravity like fluoride filter in the refrigerator that you drink out every time you come
time you come here, right? We go out to dinner and order glass fucking bottles, okay?
We don't even drink the fucking regular water.
If they don't have a glass bottle, do you even understand that my husband will almost willingly not drink water? Okay?
I just won't drink anything. I'll just eat my food.
It's like wild, So, but now it's a thing.
So it's good. That's good. It's
right.
Good.
But so I think, so what's happening is that I do think that stuff is now coming out into the open, I guess, through the outlets of the news.
Being forced out.
Right. But they're slowly doing it.
Oh, yeah.
They're like, oh, let's, what, it's 2024. We haven't done this since, I don't know, 2016.
No,
let's give them a little nibble.
You know what they'll do is, urgently warn, stop drinking bottled water because of the plastic, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then like next week they'll be like, are plastics really bad for you? And then they'll have a whole article about saying like, oh, it's some say it is, but some say it isn't. Like literally I've seen this on different news organizations. The same news organization a week later will put out another article contradicting the article they just put out a week before.
It's wild. And then what he writes on here, I mean, I love this guy to death, but then what he writes on here this is underneath the article. He says, that plastic water bottle isn't just bad for the environment. It might actually be bad for you too. Here's why. I'm
more concerned with that shit being bad for my health than the fucking recycling the goddamn water bottle.
I'm going, I will say though, not to shit on him because he's so cute, but I will say he does send us stuff that's actually quite like something to really bring to the table and talk about. Like he just sent us, side note for a sec, he just sent us this one other article. I don't know if you guys knew about this. A couple tries to sell their baby for $1,000 and some beer with a self-made contract that says no changing y'all's mind.
Well, clearly from the South, right?
Isn't that wild though? Like that, I'm like, okay.
Why is he sending you that?
Because it's fucking insane. I mean, that's like wild. That's like wild.
But it probably happens every day, different places.
Every day, different places.
Some people probably think that's normal, right?
Just sell your babies.
I just got a baby last week for $1,000.
Oh my god! So
my baby buy me a baby billionaire.
Who's that?
50 Cent. Isn't that what he says?
In what song?
My baby buy me a baby, be a millionaire. I'll pull it up. Keep talking.
I don't even know what song you're talking about. But yeah. So anyway, I mean, all these things are circling back. All this time later, we're clearly all late to the party for people who've been just going about their life based on what the news wants to tell you. If you can tell, we really don't like the news. Politics, I don't care. I'm really neither. I got nothing for you. I just think it's unfortunately entertaining at this point, and quite sad. But the news, I'll shit all over the news. But no one cares about your 50 Cent song.
No.
No. No one cares about. Turn this off. So yeah, so I will say though, because we do have to wrap up, but I want to say that I'm excited about this season. I'm excited about really sharing more of like my journey with you guys and just what's happened. And you know, how I've just been kind of like evolving, because I think it's important to share these stories. I think it's important for us to, you know, just like let people know what you're going through, because somebody else can hear that and be like, oh my God, right? Like, that's so interesting. I went through something similar. Sometimes we feel like we go through things and we're by ourselves going through it. And we're not, right? So I'm excited to get into that more. I'm excited to really just, you know, be here, show up, you know, talk about some great topics and cool things, have some fun, maybe have some sad, maybe have some intense moments and sad moments. I don't know.
Lots of struggle.
Yeah, you know, like, because this is real. This is it. We're doing this from our home.
I think it is a good starting season 5 here, because we're getting into the fall months. There's not as much to do.
We'll
right?
be right here for everyone else who's in the hot weather.
Right, we'll be here. And
freezing.
I think this is a good. So I'm just gonna play this video,
What video?
The 50 Cent video, real
Oh
quick,
my
because
God,
it does
this
say
guy.
this, and I'm gonna show you before we go here.
Coca-Cola came and bought it for beans. That's what's up. Have a baby by me, baby. Be a millionaire. I write the check before the baby comes.
Be a millionaire. All right, turn it off.
They've been selling babies for years.
Have a baby, buy a baby. Ooh, the industry's been selling babies.
Oh, Diddy's
50
babies.
Cent just fucking said it. He said it. Oh shit, it's true.
Diddy's oil.
Diddy's going
baby
down.
oil. Have my baby oil, baby.
What? Have my 1K baby oil bottles, buy me a baby. Okay, it is out of control.
Poor Diddy, man.
Poor Diddy. I mean, I don't know.
We don't know. Poor Diddy. Maybe not.
Yes,
poor Diddy.
sweetie. All right, guys, my child is calling.
All right.
I have to go to play date.
Gotta go.
All right, everyone. Enjoy the
guys
rest of your
next
weekend.
We will be back soon on a regular basis, right?
Soon. We'll be back next week.
Okay.